Peace and blessings to one from 113 of Orisha Stone. How y'all doing tonight? It's Matriarch Monday. And once again, we have the beautiful goddess, the amazing goddess, the most goddess that has a lot of wisdom in Mama Kali, and also bringing a lot of different prophecies and things that she's been talking about for a long time and bringing people together. So while we're waiting, let me see. There she go. Boom. Peace, Mama Kali.
Peace, peace.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to get the introduction out. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I am really, really doing great. And I have to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of what I have learned, from over the years and even recently, because a lot of very important information has been withheld from us. Uh, Even especially information about our ancient DNA, especially the Y chromosome. And of course, that's the male chromosome. And what has been withheld from us since 2004. This is when it was definitively known, but since then, the so called genetic scientists have tried very hard to either debunk it or, find some other scenario to try to explain it away. Okay? Now, there's another thing I want to talk about. First, I just want to point out it looks like the jewelry that I have on is just cheap jewelry, but I have to say that these were all given to me in 1997 when my husband and I actually attended the Pan American Indigenous culture in Ontario, Canada. And it was a wonderful, wonderful gathering. There were hundreds of nations from mostly South America and Canada, although there were some reservation Indians there, or so-called Indians, there were some, but the majority of those who came were from South America and Canada. And so these were gifts to me. And they don't match, but I wanted to mention to you that these are direct gifts that were given to me at that time. And it was a very, very wonderful gathering. They actually honored us, and especially my husband, who is from Ghana. He actually presented the libation. They gave him the honor of pouring the libation to begin the ceremony. And of course, I'm very proud of the gifts that they gave me. So I thought I would mention that today as we started out. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I talked to you earlier about what I really want to discuss tonight, and that is the scientific data about the male chromosome, the Y chromosome that was found here in America, Turtle Island, the most ancient of the Y chromosomes on Earth. Okay? Belonged to a melanated brother who was born into slavery, okay, in the 1800s. And when they examined that Y chromosome, they found that they had to change the timeline that had been presented to us by Bible and all of that. That Adam and Eve were walking in Africa, they said, from 200 and say, what was it, 230,000 years ago. Well, when they took a look at Albert Perry's DNA, his Y chromosome, the male chromosome, they found that it was at least 330,000, 38,000 years old, ancient, ancient. And so that means that our men have been here on this continent in the Americas for more than 100,000 years before the so-called Western science actually ever thought about anybody named Adam and Eve. Okay,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
based on that, I want to uplift our brothers. Okay, now there are a lot of our women who have confused matriarchy for an unusual power that women have, and we have it. It's true. But if we don't have the balance of that male chromosomes, I wonder how many women is out here talking a bunch of junk. I wonder how many of them really think that they can make a child through what is it called, parthenogenesis,
Yes, ma'am.
without the male.
Yes, ma'am.
How many? If you are out here fighting each other and fighting your men, then you have not actually elevated to the point where you have that spiritual power to create a human from within the depths of your soul, which is the universe within your womb. You cannot do that because you're stuck in some physical cycle of anger and madness and a peripheral of third dimensional captivities. Parthenogenesis means that you have to be pure in mind, body, and spirit. You can't be running around here fighting your sisters, or your men, and you better not. That's crazy. Of course, we do fall out with them, all of them, but sometimes. And anger is real. But you have to move from there. You have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, clear your mind, body, and especially your heart so that you can elevate to that point of spirituality. You can't just say I'm spiritual and put on something special, something, and put some oils on and, fix a fancy hairdo and all that, and eat, vegetarian and say you're spiritual. It has to come from the heart. And if your heart is weighed down with anger, if your heart is weighed down with jealousy, if your heart is weighed down with envy, you can't get anywhere. You will be locked in this third dimension. So, from here, after presenting that, what I want to do is to give you the scientific data that was hidden from us. And even this very couple of weeks ago, I saw an AI of a what's the Chinese man, and he's everywhere. AI trying to tell us who we are, showing that he really doesn't know and he's following the old information. Now, we have to be uplifted from that information or disinformation because, like I said, this genetic information isn't even new. What? It's 22 years old, 2004. That's 22, what, 24 years old. Well, 22 sometimes, the math. But I want to give you the details of it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
It was the European Journal of Human Genetics, okay? At that time, it wasn't, we ourselves, we weren't studying like genetics to that point. I think that one of the best known geneticists in our so-called Aboriginal people, he calls himself Black, is that guy from African ancestry. And I think they began that, let me see, I was 60 years old. I remember that. I was 60 years old when I first found out about African ancestry DNA. And so I got excited. I wanted on my 60th birthday to get an analysis of my African ancestry DNA. Okay. And so this, I think his name is Kendrick. I can't remember his name, but he was out of Howard University, and they created that genetic company when it was first discovered that there was a so-called African burial ground in New York when they were digging up. Uh, it was like I think for a new federal building, and they ran across the graveyard, uh, uh, and they found the burials and different artifacts, and they said, "Oh, well, this must be a slave burial ground." And so they created this genetic study in this department down there in Howard University and submitted all of that to this guy, Kendrick. Somebody can check it for me and tell me what his name is. And he began to look for, traces or ancestors of these people who were buried there, to try to find them a match somewhere in Africa. Okay? But they neglected the fact that there were Aboriginal, indigenous tribes still present in New York, and they're still there. And even, let's see, at I think there was Seneca Village that was taken over in the early 1900s, I think, and they created maybe it was, no, it was the early 1900s, yes. And the Seneca Village was inhabited by indigenous people, from the Montauk tribe, the Shinnecock, people who were always there. But in order to continue this out of Africa, uh, you know, uh, um, this out of Africa disinformation that they were giving us, they directed everything to Africa. Okay, now I don't know if you know that the Central Park was where the indigenous people lived in New York. They had left those what do they call it, ghettos that were created in the southern part of Manhattan Island, where they had brought all those immigrants from New York. And I mean, what did they call the gangs of New York? If any of you ever saw that movie, hey, those were the real slaves that were brought over. Okay. But because the indigenous people had moved away from there and had created their own co- uh, um, uh, neighborhood in what's now Central Park, they had beautiful homes, they had schools, they had, everything. They had their own culture there. And they were removed by those people at Tammany Hall, which you can see in the gangs of New York, is where those criminals actually, displaced all the indigenous people. Okay, they were run out of their land. Their homes were destroyed or taken over by those immigrants. Because they had a beautiful place in Central Park. Okay, so when they dug up this graveyard, they directed the study to West Africa. They didn't want to know if for sure that where those people came from, and they're very likely were the indigenous people of this land
Yes, ma'am.
who had actually left the ghettos of southern New York City, Manhattan, and moved uptown, and created their own economy, their home, beautiful homes, stores, everything, churches, schools. They had a beautiful community up there. But in order to keep that narrative, that out of Africa narrative, they directed all of the genetics that came from that burial ground to Africa. Okay. And so, to tell you the truth, we don't know for sure what the geneticists up with. I do know that Henry Louis Gates called him. I saw him, and I might have mentioned this before, and I'm not sure if I did, but Henry Louis Gates was in an audience. He had an audience of 99.9% white folks, and he was laughing at the geneticists out of Howard. And he said to them, "Oh, I called him up, and I had heard that Oprah said she was a Zulu."
Mm.
And so he said, Did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He said, "No, I didn't tell her nothing like that." And so Henry Louis Gates said, "Well, go ahead and tell her she's a Zulu, because I know you are making it up anyway." Okay.
For entertainment purposes only.
You hear that? And he was laughing. He was laughing with the white folks because they all know. But at any rate, in 2004, the European Genetic Society found this DNA that they couldn't identify. they said, well, hey, what is this? And it was from a brother from South Carolina. And they didn't know. And so they kept on and kept on and kept on. And they found that, hey, this is real. And it's the most ancient that we have ever seen. Okay? This
So,
is the male chromosome. I'm not talking about the female chromosome, the Y chromosome. Okay? Meaning that our men have been here for almost, that they can actually verify, for almost a 500,000 years. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
Melanated men in the Americas. All right? Now, I want to go forward and say that, because I did mention that about the timeline was moved over 100,000 years from what they had previously said was, the uh, Adam and Eve that we have heard about from the Bible, right? Okay, so that was moved over 100,000 years older, all right? And so they found that they kept on looking and kept on looking to see if indeed there was an African tribe that had the same markings as Albert Perry. Okay? So they still want to take everything to Africa. All right? And so they found that there was I think it was called Imbo. I think I got it down here. Uh, Imbo tribe of Cameroon that had similar markings on the Y chromosome. Similar, similar, not exact. So then that gave them a reason to say, and to continue to say, that, we were out of Africa. Okay? And they have stuck to it. And like I said, there's an AI of a Chinese man out there still saying that, that, hey, we know you from Africa, trying to disinherit us. Why? He's Chinese, or appears to be. So what does he have to do with who we are here on our land? Well, it's another attempt to continue this disinformation. Now, I'm going further to talk to you about a geologist, and Nabi, he has done some extensive, his work is still used. He came from Switzerland, born in Switzerland in the early 1800s. But he came over here after the small hats in Europe started to persecute him because he refused to accept Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin,
Yes, ma'am.
he said we all came from animals, okay? And so this Louis Augustus, he said, no, I just haven't seen that in my studies. They ran him out of Europe, okay? So he came over here and to America, and he started looking at the ice, the ice caps and all that. That was his original study. And the land masses here. And he said, well, hold on. It looks like the Americas were the first to emerge from the last ice age. Okay? Not Africa, the Americas. And do you know they are still using his book in geology now? He was the foremost geologist of that time and even now. Okay? So he said that the land that emerged from the ice age was first in the Americas. Well, look at our history. Okay, the human ancestry says we're very, very ancient, but also look at the pyramids. We
Mm.
already know that the pyramids and mounds, which they call mounds here in the Americas because they don't want to call them pyramids. Uh, so the pyramids are much older here than in Africa. Okay, I'm not trying to put Africa down, not at all. But you have to remember in the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti that it was he who said, hey, uh, after the big flood, which was caused by the melting of the ice packs that covered northern Europe and northern America, he said the first land that emerged from that was Turtle Island, North America, and specifically around the area of Pennsylvania. That's how specific he got. And so they're still using his book in geology. All right. So they're not saying that all of this is a lie, but it's kept from us.
Got
Because
it.
how many of us are looking at geology? How many of us are looking at genetics? I know a guy who's really done a whole lot of work. You may know him, UBTV, Uriah Brandon. Have you ever watched him?
I can't say
He's
that I have.
Uriah Brandon. He's up there in North Carolina. I think he's around Charlotte.
Yes, man. I'll check it
And
out.
some unbelievable work, in genetics and the evolution of the human species. And he's got a series of videos that say America is Egypt. Okay,
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
so I've been watching. So his stuff. He's one of the only YouTubers, our melanated YouTubers that actually goes into that depth of looking at genetics and the evolution of humans. Now, there is one thing that I want every one of us to hear. Okay, I'm about to say something. We, we have been on this land, and we are known by science. These folks that don't want to tell us, known by science to be 100% human. Did you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, who else is 100% human except us? Well, the sub Saharan Africans as well. Okay? But who is not completely human? Everybody else. All of Europe, all of Asia, all, and even, those, Australia, they have Neanderthal DNA.
Wow. I did not know that. I didn't know
Yes,
that.
Yes, but the Europeans and the Asians have from 2 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. How much Neanderthal DNA do we have? Zero.
See,
But we have the most genetic diversity within our group of people, which means that we can create a diversity of different phenotypes within our own melanated 100% human beings. Okay?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Look,
ma'am.
can we, as 100% humans, keep doing this crazy stuff, fussing at each other, fighting each other, denying, that? How can you be a queen? Please tell me. And you fighting your king? How can, how? Please tell me. No, we can't do this. Of course, of course, you can be angry, and I've been there. I have. I've been very angry with my mate, to the point where I had to leave. Okay? But I had to come to terms with myself. Okay? I had to come to terms with me. I had to look at my own heart and find who I am. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
We got to, we have to embrace our hearts. We have to live from the heart. We have to think from the heart. We have to embrace. Now, matriarchy is the oldest form of development and rulership on earth.
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
But they realized that there had to be a balance. If you're out here, women trying to debunk the men and talk bad about them, you know, you know, how can you ever embrace your heart and live and move and work from the heart? Your man is your balance. If you don't accept him as your partner and your equal, then you're out of balance. And you talk as much trash as you want. And that ain't gonna change nothing. Your heart has to accept who you are. And that is the reason why I am presenting to you facts about
Facts.
who you are. Who you are. You are the oldest human on earth. And there's no denying it. They can't find any science to deny it. But they ain't gonna tell you. Okay? They ain't gonna tell you. It takes somebody like me that's been looking at this stuff because my background is science. I love science. And I will go and find it. Anything I want to know, I will go and find it. Okay?
See,
That's the
see.
only thing I learned in college was how to go find what I want to know. Okay? And even my astrology teacher, he didn't sit me down and say, okay, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. He said, go find it. And I did because I wanted to know. Well, we all have to do that. We have to listen. We have to hear. when people are trying to teach us something. If we are so wrapped up in anger and envy, and materialism, that's what's got us now, and trying to be accepted by others. I don't give a damn who like me or don't like me. I'm not here for them. I am here for the truth, and I am here to spread the truth. That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
I was never in materialism, ever. And I was talking to, Mama Torrance Bay this afternoon, and we were laughing about high heel shoes, because I bought some one time, you know, and because I thought, okay, well, I'll go out and I'll put on a nice dress and, all of that, and I'll put on these high heel shoes. Honey, I put them shoes on and try to walk in them. I said, let me get to my flats. Because you are out of balance when you put those shoes on. You're out of balance. You ruin your own body. And what is most susceptible to that is your womb, because it's displaced using those shoes. Now, I mean, if you want to be cute, I don't know who you're trying to impress, but you must impress yourself first. Think about you. Think about you. Take care of your children. Now, what is the balance between men? What are the roles? Are there roles of men and women? Yes. Even in the ancient times, women had roles and men had roles. Now, the women actually presented the law, yes, but the men were supposed to carry out the law that the women gave them. Now, why? Why is it that the men had to carry out the law? I mean, you can look at, I got all the documents on the great law of the Iroquois Confederation. I got all of that. You know, so why is it that the women have to tell the men? They do. Because the women, if their heart is right, I'm talking about women with a right heart. I ain't talking about this stuff out here arguing and fighting and carrying on. I'm talking about the women who want to really embrace their spirituality. I'm talking about that. They have to learn the law and to actually direct the men to carry it out. You can't do it by arguing and fighting with him. That ain't gonna work. You will offend him. But he has to know that the law must always preserve the family. That is what we have to do. Preserve the family, preserve the home,
Mm.
preserve the tribe, preserve the clan, preserve the nation.
See.
So he cannot be out there beating his chest like he's the big gorilla. And a lot of men are doing that. I can't stand that. You know. And when that ego gets out of hand, which it does very often, and especially I have seen a lot of these men in the so-called conscious community, who are chiefs and so forth and kings and all of that, their egos get out of hand. That's not what rulership is about. It's about preserving the nation. And we have to come together from the heart as a nation of people, not individual tribes. Who's going to come to your defense if you are attacked? If you by yourself? Who? You have to always have a confederation. And the confederation has to be focused on preserving and protecting. That is the role of men. You don't like that role? The women give you the law because they sit and watch the stars. They they learn all the rules of nature. They cultivate the land. They bring the food. They bring your children because they have a direct relationship with the Great Spirit. Some people call God, Allah, whatever you want to call him, Krishna, whatever.
Whatever the vocabulary word of the day.
Now there's a new, when this new Christianity came about, 432 AD. Yeah, they created another Christ. They call him Christ, okay? They created an image that is like them. And that was the one that most of our people were brought up. I was brought up with that. The white Christ in the church. All of us were. Well, most of us. We were brought up with that. But as you learn and grow, if you want to learn and grow, you find that that is the false Christ. You learn that, and you have to let it go. But I understand too, as one of the chiefs said to me the other, or I think it was, yeah, one of the female participants in this, forum. She said, "You got to give them something else. If you are trying to get our people away from the false Christ, you have to give them something else to fill that void." Well, we've always had ritual. Tell me we haven't always beat drums.
Sure.
In fact, the drums were offended the squatters because they knew we could even communicate with those drums. We could send messages. Okay? And in our dance and in our music, we always communicated a higher knowing through all of our actions. So we don't have to go and follow this boom, 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 boom that we hear coming from, these reservation Indians. That's not how we play drums. We had a rhythm. We've always had rhythm. Our bodies move in rhythm like the universe. And we don't go in straight lines. We go in spirals, just like our hair. That's how we move. That's how our hips move. That's how our hips move in making love. That's how we move because we are the universe.
Sure.
So that's the two things I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Y chromosome and the oldness of the Y chromosome. And you know that Lucy they gave us from the Great Rift Valley in Africa, they said, oh, we're all descendant from her. Well, she wasn't even a Homo erectus. She was not even evolved to a Homo erectus. Now, let alone a Homo sapien, and we are considered Homo sapien, okay? Which is even above the Homo sapien. Okay, so these are the things that I will, and the fact that geologists who have put a lifetime into the study of the earth, natural sciences, say that it was the Americas that rose from the ice first. So wouldn't you think that if the Americas arose from the ice first, that the people would evolve first here? Now, another brother, I got a lot of male friends. I always had, even in high school. My friends were boys. I was considered a tomboy because I was hanging with the boys most of the time, but I was a majorette now. I got out in front of that band, that marching band in the South. You know, we had marching bands and we were throwing our legs. I did that and I enjoyed that. But after all that, I hung out with the boys and they were friends. I've always had platonic friendships with men, even when I was married, because my husband understood that I had friends that were men and we were friends. And that was it. They respected me, I respected them, and that was it. You know, we talked about stuff, and even when I moved around with my husband throughout Africa, you know, the women always stay together, and they're usually in the kitchen, and the men would be sitting there being served and having their discussions. Well, I was always sitting with the men because they wanted to hear what I wanted to say too,
Sure.
you know. And the women, I don't know what the problem was, but I did hear a man say the other day that women generally hate women. Why? It's jealousy, envy. Those things will not cultivate a clean heart. We have to learn how to let that go. Why should I? I'm happy when you have something. It makes me happy. I'm never jealous of what you have. I don't want what you have. I got what I have and I got what I need. I don't need to be envious of you. And I certainly don't need to start a fight with you. For what? There's nothing to fight about. We are in survival mode right now. If you are not watching, if you're busy fighting somebody, you're not watching what's happening in the world. You are not watching the geopolitical things that are going down. America is collapsed. The dollar is worthless. The only place that you can spend that dollar now is in America. Don't nobody take the dollar. Okay? Don't nobody take it outside of America. They don't take it. Why? Because it's useless. Everybody is trading. You've heard of the BRICS nations. Everybody is trading in their own currency backed by gold. The oldest currency there is gold. But, we wear it because we know what gold represents. It is wealth. It's the only wealth. Gold and silver. It's the only wealth, real wealth.
Sure.
So I'm happy when you have a lot of gold. I'm happy when you have a lot of silver. I'm happy when you have those beautiful stones because they also represent ancient values.
Sure. Sure.
That's why I told you you need to go and look at what Louis Agassiz.
I will.
His, yeah, yeah, look him up because he talked a lot about how these stones were made in geological terms.
And
I think
and I most definitely will, because I have so many questions for you. You be going in, and it be like, yo, when you say it's ego and everything else, I most definitely understand. But we be looking for wisdom. We be looking for science. You went to school for this. You see what I'm saying? So I like tapping into you and listening to that wisdom and taking it, and people can study this and take it and make it tangible to their life. So that's thank you for that wisdom. You know what I'm saying? It's most definitely an honor. Um, I want to go back to that Y chromosome thing. And you
uh-huh.
was and you were talking about the pyramids and over here in America and everything else.
Yeah.
And I also want to ask you. Well, let's stay on that real quick. Can you please break down again for us? You saying that the brother, because there was two brothers, is that the same brother that they said was connected to Ramses or something like that? The Egyptian pharaoh?
Oh,
Because
Tahuti?
yeah. It was one that
Yeah,
was saying
emerald tablets of
no. I'm
Tahuti.
talking about the brother that they found the DNA from.
Oh, no, he's from North Carolina. He was
Because there's
on a
one in Georgia
farm.
too, and there's more and more people popping up. That also bleeds into the. Do you know anything about Henrietta Lacks?
Oh, of course,
And where's she
because they're
from?
still using her genes. They're still
Yes, ma'am.
using her. Yeah, they
And where's she from?
replicated her genes, and they're using it for all over the world.
I say.
They're using it for medical experimentation. Why? Because our genes never die.
And do
We
you know where you know where she
are
was from?
immortal.
Yes, ma'am. Oh no, I'm sorry, not to cut your wisdom. Do you know where she was from? I'm trying.
Baltimore.
You see what I'm saying? I'm making a point that when you said you were real direct when you said Pennsylvania area, when you said New York areas, we don't talk about it that much because a lot of people don't know the history, and you brought the history and the science for it. So that's something to
Right.
do research. You also
Mhm.
said that these other entities around us aren't even human. Yet we go to them for validation. Yet we go to them for answers. Yet we go to them for elevation, and it makes no sense. That means we're the retards. Something's wrong with us. That we ask, hey, who are you? Like we're asking a lesser being who we are. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we
Now,
have allowed the lesser beings to tell us who we are. They're not even completely human. And I'm sure they get mad at me because they don't want to know it, but it's facts.
I
You've
say,
been trying to tell us these lies all these time. And those of us who went to school and think we learned something, we want to believe it. And we want to perpetuate it, especially if we feel like we've got to perpetuate it to keep our job. Hey, a whole lot of them jobs gone. And you got to
anyway,
figure out how you can survive.
I
And
say,
the first thing you have to know is that you are immortal.
I say, I
It's
say,
proven. It's proven. You are immortal.
I
But
say,
you cannot capture that immortality if your heart is jealous, envious, argumentative. You know, uh, you cannot elevate yourself to immortality, and you will certainly harm your children. Okay,
yes,
because even growing in that kind of environment damages them.
I say,
I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm still working on myself.
Man, we
daily.
appreciate your wisdom. We appreciate your wisdom. You already lived through it. We gotta listen.
Yeah, I've lived through a lot. Believe me, honey. There's a whole lot that I can talk about, especially in my travels, because the places I lived throughout the world, in my travels with a botanist, hey, there weren't even a one-star hotel around where we were. Sometimes we had to live in, these little huts, you know, um, mud huts, but they were comfortable. Okay, there were no one-star hotels, and let alone five-star. And most of the time, we travel on our own dime. Now, we were invited to places where they provided, and on journeys where they provided the hotel and transportation and stuff like that. We did, attend different conferences and lectures and seminars around the world where they provided all of that. But when we were on our own, we just had to use what we had because we were in search of knowledge. And knowledge can't be found it sure ain't gonna be found in the universities because they full of lies, perpetuating that so-called supremacy. No such thing. No such thing, especially with somebody that 2 to 4% Neanderthal. Why do you think they out there fighting all of the time? Did anybody ever figure that out? And when you say that, what is it? Make America great again. When was that? Don't let me get started about those so-called founding fathers. Don't let me get started there because I'll never shut up. And so I know that there are other people and there are questions and there are other people who want to comment. And so I can't just take up all the time. I think I've mentioned pretty much what I had planned. Oh, yeah, I did say that Louis Agassiz, the geologist, was ran out of Europe because he opposed the Darwin theory.
Mhm.
Yeah, uh-huh. Y'all got to know that. They had to get rid of him because Charles Darwin was amongst those small hats who had determined to change the narrative, so that they could take the place of the chosen people. They always knew who we were. Even Christopher Columbus, and I know I said this before, he wrote in his own diary, in his own handwriting. He said that he was going to the Holy Land, where the holy people are. And there was no India. Okay? That lie they tell us about he was trying to find India. There was no India over there. That was what? Hindustan. Hindustan.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I must mention the Grand Canyon. In those secret areas in the Grand Canyon, they found the Buddhists, that they found the Buddha, they found Kalima, they found all of the great saints, Krishna and all of them. Their statues are in there. Well, there was a brother who sent me some information yesterday talking about, okay, they were never separate religions. They were just manifestations of different parts of the Godhead. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, they were preserved in certain areas because there was the so-called Satan was given dominion over the earth for what, 6,000 years? Okay.
Yes,
His
ma'am.
time is up, baby.
I
He
say.
ain't got no more time left.
Now, before I forget, I wanted to ask you about the status and how she doing, her welfare. The goddess that you were telling me about earlier, the Moorish goddess that has the land up there. How's
Yeah.
she doing? Does
Uh-huh.
she think she still needs help? And how can we
I
help her?
talked to her today.
Yes, ma'am.
After I spoke with you, I talked with her today. And she's 95 now, 94, 95. Yeah. And she's been out there on that Moorish land for like uh, 60 or 70 years, and she's there by herself now. And so there was some people in Kansas, a couple of sisters in Kansas who reached out to me and asked me if I could hook them up with her. So I went to her and I said, okay, these young ladies, they are a different mind from what you have come to know, and they want to reach out and help you out. She pretty much told me she was just tired. She's tired. And sincerely, I get it.
What does she need help with? Like, how
She
can we help
did.
her? Oh,
She
yes,
didn't.
ma'am.
And that land is still there. It belongs to Moorish Science Temple of America. It's not her land. She and her husband built that land, built that house out there, oh, what, about 60 years ago or so. And she's been out there and she's the only one there. But she says she's tired. She doesn't even want to talk anymore. And I get it. I hope that I continue to help by speaking until I'm her age or older. I hope. I pray
Well, I want to
that I
personally.
don't get tired of these folks. But if y'all keep fighting and cussing and fussing and doing all that, I'll get tired of you too. Won't even want to talk to you no more. That's where she is.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm hoping that now that I'm taking the time to beg you, my people, that we have to stop all this foolishness. Wealth does not come from outside of yourself. Wealth comes from within. And the Great Spirit will make sure that you get what you need
I say.
if you are coming from the heart. I don't believe you can go and put on white, and write, run around and light candles and incense and manifest like that if your heart ain't right. No,
Say
it won't happen.
they looking for actors. The universe ain't looking for actors. I said,
I
say,
ain't that one. I ain't that one. I'm sorry.
I said,
And whatever I need, it comes to me. It's like patience. Yes.
I say.
And
Well,
so that's what I'm
I'll
here
say this.
today to work.
Yes, ma'am. And the power behind the word is if that goddess needs help
You're
and
breaking up, baby. You're breaking up.
okay, can you
You're
hear me
breaking
now?
up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll wait for it. Can you hear me now?
You're good. You're good. Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I was saying that that's why I wanted to bring attention to it because it's a lot of people that talk about doing things and everything else. If you're organized the way you say you're organized and everybody say whatever, if you're part of whatever Moors said they're claiming, then you should have a personal challenge for yourself to go up there and help that Moorish goddess and whatever in DVR she needs help with, tending to the land, everything else. I find it funny that everybody's all these different things and there's no organization, there's no coming together, there's no real this goddess is holding land up there. You've said it several times. You talked about it
Mhm.
several times, and she's saying she's tired because all they do is talk, and ain't nobody came to
Talk.
help. So I
And
just
our people don't want, many of them. I can't paint a brush for our people. Many don't want to roll up their sleeves and do the hard labor because we have gotten used to sitting down and doing nothing except fussing at each other, and on the keyboard, you know.
I'll send some soldiers up there. I got you.
Okay,
um,
okay.
now
And
I,
they got to talk to the Moors that own the land. I don't even believe that a whole lot of these Moors know they got that land,
they probably don't.
but I keep talking about it. And I hope that some decent Moors will reach out to help her. I'm talking about decent ones. I know a whole lot that ain't decent.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
you know that I hosted the Moors right here on my land, weekly meetings for years. And what happened was I realized that they wanted to do church. But please, I
Master
wanted to
builders that
learn.
build nothing.
Look, Noble Ali said, I'm going to keep you here long enough until you learn how to run your own country.
I see.
Civics, you gotta know civics. You gotta know how, even if you just look at the ancient ways. In fact, that's the way you need to start. That don't mean you gotta go all the way back, to living in a mud hut, although they are comfortable. They are. I'm not saying that, but you have to learn how to live in a sustainable way.
I see.
And if it does mean, because they got these, what do they call them now? I know that one of my former tenants, he used to teach how to make these sandbag domes. You feel and straw bale. My daughter actually, she and her husband went down into Mexico to learn how to build straw bale houses. And what it is, you fill these sacks with straw, and then you cover it with mud, and it's completely insulated. You don't have to worry about it getting hot. And then when the weather turns cold, it's warm. You could just put a little fire in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's sustainable. And we need to learn how to do that now, because let me tell you, and you can say whatever you want, but let me tell you, honey, the bottom are going to fall out of America without warning.
Yes, ma'am. And the thing
And
about that is, we're gonna be all right. I mean, the one thing about it, we're gonna be all right. The way we've been talking, one thing about it, God, is you're Aries yourself, and I'm gonna bring another amazing Aries on too. But one thing about it, proper preparation prevents poor performance. You ain't got to worry about it. I do want to ask you though, since because you always talk about a prophecy, and I like your prophecy because I'm connected with people all over, and I love the Council of Khalifa, the whole Council of Khalifa, all my sisters over there. Can you from San Francisco, right? Or you just
right.
live in San Francisco? Okay. Can you break
Well, I
down?
was born and raised in the South, in North Carolina,
Okay.
but I lived 35 years in San Francisco.
And tell me about the prophecy you were telling us about before.
Yes. Okay. My husband and I, we lived out by the Pacific Ocean, about 4 blocks from the water. And there is highway number one that runs beside the water. You've seen some beautiful landscapes where they'll show you some fast moving cars, going around these mountain curves. Okay, that's highway one. Okay, in San Francisco, there is that Highway 1, and there is a wall that separates the beach from Highway 1. Okay? And my husband and I think we lived about 4 blocks from the ocean. And we used to walk every day before we went to our business. We had a business that was also in what they called at that time the Parkside area of San Francisco. And we had a very successful business on a busy street out in the Parkside. Well, we lived about 4 blocks from the ocean, and so we would walk every day. And that wall, which we saw every day, one day we, we looked up and there was all this writing on the wall. Well, the first thing that stood out were these huge symbols. And I've been into symbology for a very long time, having studied astrology and astronomy. It's all symbology. And so, I was drawn to the wall. And I said, well, let's go up there. We would walk by the wherever the water was. I mean, sometimes if the tide was in, it was like 100 feet from the wall, and if the tide was out, and maybe 200 feet from the wall. So I walked up to the wall one day. Walked up to the wall, and I said, this is saying something. This is not graffiti because within that area, there were small writings, the big symbols and the small writing. And I said, hey, there's a message here. And so from then on, we began to, notice the wall. And I brought my little Kodak camera, just a little photograph Kodak camera with me. And I started taking pictures. Well, the story grew and grew and grew. And we continued to take pictures. I was the one who insisted because I was seeing so much, and very few people walked on the wall on that beach because people know that in San Francisco, out at the beach, especially Pacific Ocean, it's cold out there most of the year. I mean, cold because the fog is in. Okay, so there were very few people who actually walked on that beach. But there were several that we would see every now and then. And so from time to time, we would ask them, well, do you see anything on this wall? And they would say no. But I took pictures. And people never paid attention to graffiti. So that's why they didn't see it. But it wasn't just graffiti. Do you know if I tell you that there was a message on that wall in 1995, 96 that talked about the COVID vaccine? Would you believe me? I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. And it showed demonic force faces. And then mRNA with a heart. Well, because they told us they was giving us love, didn't they? They said, we helping you. Take this vaccine. It's good for you. It's going to help you. Well, that's the biggest lie they ever told. That was the mark of the beast. But that's only one thing. That it pointed to, the shaman pointing to the key. What was the key? Listen to the trees sing. And on that image of the shaman pointing to the key, it said Bush, Bush. and remote. What did that mean? 9/11 was done by the Bushes and through remote control. That's another thing. Okay, and then there was spaceship, or not a spaceship. There was a spaceship with little grays too. I got that picture too. But a spacecraft like we see NASA supposedly sending a spacecraft out. hmm And it was broken in the middle and money pouring out. And it said, Exxon sucks, you know, and where does all the money go? It's what it said on the side of the spaceship. Well, take a look. They call Elon Musk, who I don't believe even has any human DNA. They say he's a trillionaire. He's been given money to send something to Mars that busts up before it even gets off the ground. Where's the money going? Where does all the money go?
Mm.
And then they got a woman. And then from there, there's a woman sitting on pregnant and sitting there, with genes, kind of moving toward her. Genetic engineering done in space. These space stations, they had to go to a vacuum free area in order to learn to duplicate genes and then implant them into a human or humanoid, you know? And so, and then the best one of all, starting with the cross that says 666, and these blue eyed people are images of human type people, and it talks about, you know, um, uh, there's this fire coming and burning them. What's happening now? Hmm?
Burn up. Mhm.
That's what's happening.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
fire is destroying them, but
Yes,
it's the fire of their own making. Okay,
Sensei.
it's immediate karma coming back, and they actually believe that they can change themselves. They can't. Not if you're a Neanderthal. All you know is to hit somebody over the head and kill them and maybe eat them after that.
That's it.
The thing is, they know who they are. Do we know who they are? Do we handle them accordingly? That's the main thing. Once we understand who they are and understand how to handle them accordingly, everything shifts. I told you, we still trying to be their friend. We still trying to work with them. We still trying to work for them. It's not making sense. I got it, Satori. How are you?
I'm
I
blessed,
can't. I
brother.
can't get it. I don't get it.
We don't- we listen, Mama Callie. Listen, you touched on all the numbers today. You touched on everything today. I love how you went in on the DNA because I've been on Orisha to talk about the DNA. Orisha would tell you,
Mhm.
I've been on him. We got to talk about the DNA because our
Yes,
DNA is different. We have special
absolutely,
abilities. We have
absolutely.
proof of our magnetism.
Of
We have
course.
special abilities. And you touched on everything today. And I love how you opened up and went to San Francisco because San Francisco, we all know, is a portal. And that's
Yes,
something that I
absolutely.
teach on.
hmm Absolutely. And I realize that, it has been confirmed, and even I've been there to Mount Shasta, and seeing the different spaceships coming and going into Mount Shasta. But I also think that the entities that were writing on the wall, came from the ocean. And they left some physical things for me. I got them now. Physical
One day I will,
evidence.
if you could share
And
your
do you
picture.
guys remember that? Let's share my what?
The pictures that you took.
Share what?
The pictures that you have of the writings on the
Look,
wall.
I've got a PowerPoint. I've got a PowerPoint that
I would love
has
that.
about 60 of those images. Well, I have a friend who's coming in from Detroit tomorrow who's going to help me to take some of those pictures and put them out on Instagram or PowerPoint. I mean, what do you call it? TikTok. Because, most people won't stop to look at and listen. I mean, I got a PowerPoint that's at least an hour and a half long. Okay. Now, people like us will listen in for an hour or so, but there are younger people who ain't got that kind of time. They think they just want to see some instant. They came up in instant. They came up on instant food. They came up at instant drive-through, and then instant gratification. That's what they're looking for. But they got to know this older stuff. And yes, I am going to share it. I've got a smaller version where I use some of the images along with some images from Dr. York's books and the images from the Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco in order to get the story about Albert Purdy out. The DNA and that old, I've got 7 videos, and it's called Cosmic Prophecies, Who's Your Daddy? Okay. Now, it's, I'll have to send that to Orisha, to you, Nabi,
Yes, ma'am.
so that you can, because everybody can get to it if you know how to. I mean, it's on YouTube, and it's called Cosmic Prophecies, Who's Your Daddy? And it's by Amanisi. Amanisi is my indigenous name. And that was my great aunt's name.
That's right.
She was Amanisi.
What you mean?
Yeah, so her name.
What's it mean, guys? What's it mean?
The mother.
I say.
Ama.
Ma. I say.
Uh-huh.
Easy. Okay. Okay.
That was my great aunt's name, Amanisi, on my dad's side. Now, my great grandmother was Candace. And I know that you know the Candace Queens. Y'all know about the Candace Queens, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Nabi, have you heard of the Candace Queens?
Okay.
The Candace Queens, they were called Kandaki. That was the old name. It was Kandaki. But they now call them the Candace Queens. And they were warrior queens like Califia. They were warrior queens. And from Kush. And the history says that Alexander the Great went and conquered Persia, okay, where the U.S. is trying to conquer right now and then got beat up. And that's, they ain't telling you, they done got whipped out there in Persia, ancient Persia, which is now Iran.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they say Alexander the Great went and conquered Persia, but he didn't dare go down there into Kush because he knew that them Candace queens were going to whip his behind. And he was scared. Okay. And this is their great warrior, so they say. You know, we've got to uncover the real truth. You know,
Imagine
because we were brought up in so many lies. Oh my God. So
that.
many lies. And the more names and numbers and what do they call them, alphabets behind your name, the less you really know. That proves indoctrination, levels of indoctrination. I had a chance to go for a master's and I turned it down. They were ready to give me a master's, give me money to go. I said, no, thank you. Because I fought with my bachelor's teachers all the time. We fought because I knew they were lying to me. And then when we had to do a study on a grain, and I chose rice. Okay, well, I didn't know at that time where rice came from. And so when I did my study and presented it to my European teacher at this white college, you know, in California, she got so mad at me. I said, well, I thought the rice was from China too, but it ain't. It's from Africa. And they have the best rice. That red rice out of West Africa is absolutely delicious. But because Thailand sells them broken rice, white rice that they don't want, and it's cheap, that's what they buy. So the indigenous rice farmers can't even sell their rice. Okay. Now let me tell you who stopped that stuff. Brother Traore. He's gone all the way, Burkina Faso. He done stopped all that. He's getting them to actually weave their own clothing cloth and use their indigenous clothing
That's
again.
big old goon energy. That's big old goon energy over there in Mali.
Yep.
I say.
Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Yeah, and now the rest of them are in West Africa. They didn't stop trying to fight them. They were going to fight them on behalf of their European masters, and now they realize that they'd have made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's thrown the UN out
They don't understand how brutal.
because they were they were stealing gold in their diplomatic pouches and sponsoring terrorists to cause havoc in the outer regions of the area. So I have the greatest respect for that brother. And the rest of those West African nations are learning, although they still have to bow to their Western brothers, and because they're scared to try to use their own power. And that's all that is. You're just scared to use your own power. That's all. Scared. Because you don't know who you are. And that's the truth. You don't know who you are.
I said, so
Okay.
big shout out to Ray.
Questions? Anybody got questions?
The reason I brought Goddess Khalif on is because she's actually from California. She over there on the ground right now. We got a couple people. We're gonna do a whole college show sometime this week. But
Okay.
I love how you were talking about the portals and everything else because I always get my medicine from Mount Shasta. So I brought her on because a little bit. Go ahead, Goddess.
I honestly think that the photos that she took will be activating for people because those photos were left by those symbols were left by the Anunnaki, and it is connected to Mount Shasta. because that's where our people are at. That's basically where they're stationed at. And that's something that I teach and that I do because I'm a protector of California and the plan for this land, right? And the importance of California and how California is basically going to be the exit plan for 2043 when we leave to New Earth, the parallel New Earth and Orion. We're going to be going through the San Francisco gate and the LA gate. And so after the third density is released in 2020, I'm saying 2020, now I'm trying to call it in early because I'm exhausted, right? So after the third density is released, earth shamans are going to be coming to California because we actually have to heal the land. And San Joaquin Valley is the largest producer of the gross domestic product for the entire population of the earth. We send out, you know, our agriculture in California feeds the whole entire earth, right? So we're going to have earth shamans come in and we can actually heal the land. And this is, I tell this to Orisha, make sure you watch Ancient Aliens and study the ancient sites. Because when you watch the ancient sites, you get the activations for the technology that we're going to be reverse engineering after 2030. And the energy I have, my Stargate is the Stargate in Peru, which is Pumapunku, Lake Titicaca. And they have the H block technology, which is what we're going to reverse engineer here in California to actually activate the top layer of the soil.
Yes,
I have it all figured out.
Well,
So,
you know that California is an island from ancient Lemuria.
yes. So basically, we're a branch off of Mu and Lemuria.
Right.
Yes.
And it was an island until they actually made that conduit from what was it, Lake Tahoe, to bring the water down from the Sierra Nevadas to actually feed the crops in the San Joaquin Valley. Yeah, it was an island. On old maps, you will see that California was an island.
1,000 pardons. 1,000 pardons. A great question. They said, do you do any of you guys ever do rituals or retreats on up in Mount Shasta?
Well,
I do not.
You do. I left California in 97. Yeah, was that 97? No, 98. In 98 is when I moved from California. And to come to Atlanta, you know, because I needed land. And, you know, no. I was there when all those Chinese came over with suitcases full of cash. You know, when Ronald Reagan told them, okay, you come over here and give us $1 million and start a business and hire 11 people, then you can come over. So they came over with suitcases full of dollars and bought the houses around where my business was. So I saw that happen.
Sure.
But California is an island, and between Baja California was that peninsula and the landmass of Mexico, that was called the Red Sea. Okay, on maps. You can find it right now.
I see.
So there's so much we got to know. There's so much we've got to learn. And I have so much to share. I got so many pictures. You know,
we're gonna make sure next time we do the slides for you and everything.
I shouldn't say that. The technology that I need to share is on the way. That's
Send it to me
what I
too.
say.
You know, I was just saying, we got the technology guy is on our team. So if you send it to us, I can help you out a lot too, or whatever, and we'll post it up too for you. Also, real quick.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
Got his Mama Callie. What's your zodiac sign again? Your zodiac
My
sign?
sign?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean Aries?
Yes.
Aries, I'm Aries with Libra rising and a Sagittarius moon. So I have a grand trine in the fire signs. That's why you always see me blowing up, but not negatively. And Libra rising gives me a little balance,
I see.
And I have a grand square in the mutable signs, so it don't make life easy. It makes life a challenge and it makes life a joy. So
I'm similar
much
to you. I'm similar to you. I'm gonna tell
energy.
you mine
I
in a
have a
second.
sign.
No, I'm sorry. We on
Hmm?
different. We all on different time frames,
So
so I'm
what?
sorry. We getting a little feedback. But Atari,
Yeah.
what's your day sign?
Aries sun, Capricorn moon, Aries rising. Triple
Ah,
threat.
What's that mean, Mama Kylie?
that Capricorn moon a little bit, honey. I got that Sagittarius moon whipping my behind, and that's what I got to know. I just gotta know, and that's what drives me. That passion to know. You
Sure.
see, that's what God gave me. That's who I am. That's it.
Can you provide dates? Oh, when are you? I mean, if you're doing a retreat, or should we be building a retreat? Because I know Melanated Immortals is doing retreats, but are you doing any retreats anytime soon, Atari, on the West Coast?
No,
Atari?
No,
no,
No.
no.
Well,
That's what I
are
said for
working on that.
retreats.
We are working on that. There's a new guy who's joined one of the one of the nations that I work with, and I work with several. The only one that I ever joined was when Empress Veriasi had the Washita,
yes, ma'am.
but now I'm working with several Indian nations, American Indian nations.
I see.
Okay, and some of them, like the Kituwa Chief Betty, she got so much information. That woman is amazing. She's got so much information. And the UAAR nation, is finding and trying to present an umbrella under which all of us can dwell, including not just the Indian nations, but all the rest of us that have, what they call them, FBAs, Foundational Black, the Moors, the Mirrors, Verdiasi was a Mir, Muur, even though her cousin, Noble Drew Ali, was a Moor, Moor. You
That's way
see,
too
she
confusing for me.
are. And that's why they had to give her that land and say that she was the most ancient of people on this earth. Okay.
I see.
The UN said that, Rockefeller's folks. But they about to fall too because Traore done kicked them out.
I see. I see. I appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate you, man. And I brought that up for a reason, talking about the Aries aspect, because each one of us in Inspire year are spearheading something amazing. Atari, she's
Mhm.
really in the psychology aspect of that. We were going to most definitely do a lot more Atari and get onto the DNA aspect of it, and have Mama Kali tap in, because she's bringing science that we might not. Well, I'm not accustomed to knowing. You know what I'm saying? She's teaching me. I go around all the lands talking to all these master teachers, and here go Mama Kali and gave me all this information in one night. So thank you for that, most definitely, guys. Sorry, what you got for us on the West Coast? Because I love what me and you were talking about. You were talking about all these false prophets and false prophecies. Everybody trying to fearmonger people. You know what I'm saying? What you got on that before we get out of here?
Listen, last before least, I'm gonna tell you for real, for real. People are projecting the wrong timelines. People are projecting the wrong timelines. And the work that I do, because I have to, this is the Kali energy. This is the segment energy. This is the timekeeper. I have to go into the Akashic field and fix this. And it's starting to annoy me because it's people in our community. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to call B-Dell out right now because he has this video coming up about California being destroyed and California looking a hot mess and people going to be leaving California because of all these earthquakes. He's projecting a lower timeline. That's not what's going on. The universal blueprint for California is for everybody of our people to move this way because we have the energy and the wave of telos activation in our land. This is the Khalifa land. Everybody knows how high vibrational California is. And B-Dell got this video out projecting false timelines. I have put so much work. I work with Dr. York. Me and him work telepathically because I used to work for the Bureau of Prisons. So I have the energy to alchemize the Bureau of Prisons. He's at Florence ADX in Colorado. His zip code is 81226. That was the day of the eclipse. We're sending the energy through the ley lines, right? This Stockton, California is in a specific position through space and time with the Giza Plateau. And this land is blessed. It's sacred. There's a dome of protection over it. And I'm not allowing anybody to keep on projecting false timelines over this land. I put in too much work to restore this energy, sending the energy through the alchemy, through the grid to restore this land for us. I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. People need to access the Akashic records before they keep on running their mouth. On the West Coast. I'm serious. I put a lot of energy into this.
I most definitely know you are. And I respect that because our minds are very powerful. Hold on one second. I know you most definitely serious. I wouldn't play with you at all. I'm not laughing like that. I'm laughing like the, you know what I'm saying? We got to laugh to keep from crying. Because you're right. Sometimes we project, and when people project and they want views because they monetize, they get paid off clicks. So they got to say anything. They got to come up with all sorts of stuff. They always have the question. Nobody ever has an answer. Nobody ever has solutions. So we got to overlook some of those. Like the guy that said, some people are still, everybody's not going to vibe, and that's cool. We got to focus on our tribe, our Doma collective, our indigenous people. Now, I'm not saying everybody's invited. Everybody's not invited to the, I hate that these other tribes, everybody's invited to the cookout. That's why I don't want to be a part of that. Anybody can be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? You forcing folks to be part of that. But when we create our own and get, like you said, you're doing the spiritual work, now we got to get onto the physical aspect. 5%, remember, we got to be 9. 9 is the perfect number, right? 5% spiritual, 5% represents the divine feminine energy, and 4% material. So that God has said we had a job to do. My job is go get this stuff and secure the land for the goddesses. When they see me with these chains on, it ain't to be flashy. These links represent us when we linked up. This is what happens when we link up. You know what I'm saying? So, and I love what Goddess, when she opened up, Mama Kali said about her beads. See, when we understand the sacred adornments, when we understand the real history of these beads and everything else, man, that's royalty. They tell you all the time, you might not have a dollar to your name, but if you have beads, you're rich. Trust me, I live by that. I live by that. So don't ever, when you came on, don't ever think your adornments look cheap at all. I thought it was African amber. I can't see it too good, but I thought it was African amber, and I know how expensive that African amber get. I go get some.
I got some of that, but I really wanted to honor that that time. We spent a week there in Ontario, Canada, in 1997, and it was in the winter. It was very cold. They had to go and get me a big fur coat, you know, because I thought we were going to Victoria, which the weather is sort of like Seattle. So I just wore something kind of light. And honey got up there in Ontario where the event was taking place on Victoria Island outside of Ontario, and it was cold as hell. They had to go and get me a fur coat because I couldn't take that coat. Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, I love
I
that.
look when I see beads, I
Oh,
see
that is,
different. So look, we got to get back
I
into identifying
love
ourselves.
that.
You know, they call the beads passports. When you go to different cultures, the beads are passports to other. So when I started doing mine and the work we're doing, we call it intergalactic passports. That's what they call it from tribe to tribe. Intergalactic passports. If a goddess gets married, all the different tribes that connected to her would give her a bead, and so they already know if from all
Person.
the different tribes would give her one bead. So she would have all these different beads. So when they see her, they know exactly. Oh, she can. Oh, she this. Oh, she royalty.
Yes,
They know the beads.
yes,
We we
they
fallen so far
do.
away. We want to manifest destruction because the white man said no. If the white man is scared, we should celebrate. If he happy, we should be worried. Everything is vice versa. Nine ethers and six ethers. Not that's it. So for us, we right now, especially we still in Lionsgate, or we might have just stepped out the Lionsgate, but at the same time, manifestation is the everyday. This is the everyday job, 24/7. They're manifesting 20. They never no days off. They're doing overtime to manifest against us. So manifesting for us should be a full-time job as well. So we manifest abundance. I want to manifest riches and abundance on all of us. I
Yes.
want to see us with those gemstones. I'm not materialistic. God said we're supposed to have that. Wait a minute. Didn't it say in the basic instruction before leaving Earth that the new Jerusalem, Jerusalem only means city, and in between city is USA. The new Jerusalem will be based on those 12 gemstones, aka bricks. But we're not going to talk about that because they got everybody thinking they digging in Africa for those stones. But there's a bunch of stones and things over here that we're not talking about. That's why they damn get rid of all those other houses in California. They're about to start digging. They already know. They've told you several times there's portals, minerals on this land that open up portals. I can't remember the name of the show, but
Right.
there's minerals,
Absolutely.
outer
You
range
know,
minerals in this land that can take you in
right.
portals. Not no CERN. I'm talking about trees and dirt and rocks. Go ahead, guys.
Yes. Absolutely. Hey, I saw a question. She said she was Aries, and how did she figure out her rising sign? Your rising sign is based on the time of birth. So if you were born, say, at 6 a.m. on the equinox, which is Aries, at least the spring equinox, then it's very likely you have an Aries rising. Likely, but we have daylight savings time, which you have to find out if that time on your birth certificate is actual so-called time, because that ain't right either, but let's not go there. But daylight savings time, or what they call wartime. I was born during wartime, just before the end of World War II. I was born in April, and I think, let me see, was it May that World War II stopped? Or was it April 13th? I can't remember. But World War II ended right after I was born. Might have been because I was born. I don't know. I'd like to think that anyway. Why not?
Look, we talk about
So
prophecy. So,
you
I'm glad
find
you
your
said that, guys.
rising sign by the time you were born. Mhm.
I'll say
Yes.
this. The reason I brought that up about the Aries, because I mean, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, Jesus was the Aries. And you know what I'm saying? Most prophets are Aries. And
That's
God
right.
put you
People don't know that.
God, you know what I'm saying? Now, no, I mean, we can dibble and dabble in that, but like you said, we won't go there. But the reason I say that is because you have to be the spearhead. You're the one that brings the earth, spring. This is spring energy. You know what I'm saying? This is birth energy. This is the new year. We know this. So
Yes,
that's and
it
energy
is the new year,
are the
which
internal life.
they to that freezing time, because that's where they came from. It can't be a new year in the cold of winter,
Well,
because actually the sap rises in the trees
so
at the birth of the year, which is the rising of the constellation of Aries. Okay?
yes,
And we
ma'am.
got to get out there and cut down all them weeds. We have to build the path. And
Shout
I've
out,
taken that on.
shout out Papa Leg, but shout
My
out.
That's my
Oh, look,
life's journey
that's why I got
to
to
cut families down.
and
You
that's why you
know, so
gotta let the boys sometimes, guys. When you say sometimes they're being aggressive and everything else, in our Aries nature, right? The women only gonna mate with the strongest male. He got to get out there and show us some proof. We can't be, they get a pass just because they part. Everybody don't just, we got our rights of passage. You got to show yourself approved. You know what I'm saying? Aries going to be, look, sometimes we bump heads, but you're going to see who's the realest ones out the bunch. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So most definitely. What's mine mean, guys? I'm an Aries, Sagittarius, Gemini. That shit's horrible. I'm sorry. Explain. You know,
Oh, your rising is Sagittarius?
that's why I said we're similar
Is
because
your rising Sagittarius?
mine turns into Gemini. And it's like you just, oh my gosh, it's just like a fire tornado.
I know. You know, I know. Sometimes I got so much fire. I'm so happy that I have actually practiced meditation for about 60 years. If I hadn't done that, then I would probably be somebody else. But I took that up 2 months after my first child was born. I started studying meditation, and there was a wonderful Hindu. I started at a Hindu temple. It wasn't it was a temple. It was like a teaching facility, and I started going there, and that's where I started with my meditation, you know, and I've continued it or continued with, the morning meditation, like walking along the waterside, and that now I'm just immersed in nature. And I just sit and watch the trees, or in the front, I sit in my rocking chair and watch the trees and the animals coming by. Got a new species of deer here now. And then I lay in my bed in the back, which is high off the ground, and I can watch the birds at the top of the trees and the squirrels. And that's my life. I love it.
I say.
I love it.
For
And
sure.
that's why I'm not out throwing spears. Otherwise,
No, but that's the life of Aries too. Most Aries went through a lot in their younger years. You can tell who's been through something in younger years, and then you get older, you appreciate things more. Nobody appreciates anything more than Aries.
No.
You went through a whole lot because
Yeah.
remember, you're the pioneer. So that means you experienced all the stuff ahead of time when you were young. You probably got out there younger than most of your peers and everything else. Most of them people try to be like you. So now you experienced all these things. Now you appreciate peace. Now that's the flip on it. The flip's gonna be you go from fire. Your exact opposite is you're gonna turn into water. You know what I'm saying? One day you're gonna turn into water. It's still chaotic sometimes, but at the same time, fire also represents light, the eternal light, and light represents knowledge.
Absolutely.
They say
Right.
you'll know when the time comes when the sun rises in the west and lands in the east. They won't talk about the knowledge. The knowledge is coming from over here on the west now. So yes, ma'am, prophecy being reborn as we speak. So before we get out of here, guys, do you have anything coming up soon, Atari?
No, nothing around here. You guys, it's a lot going on out here in California. Like, I'm literally trying to heal the water. The water has an invasive species of mussels that's attacking the waterways and the pipes. There was a pipe that burst with oil. I'm literally focusing on healing the energy of the land. If you didn't know, we got a archive of Egyptian Kemetic artifacts that is on tour in San Francisco during Lionsgate. So that was important because we need people to touch our frequency, and it's during the Lionsgate, and then it's connected to the San Francisco portal. So it's actually going to be activating more people as this energy is anchored into the land.
And so it's out there at the museum.
Yes, ma'am, in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's an ancient um, building. It
Yes.
was there in Tatarian times. That's one that they didn't tear down. And in fact, there are several buildings that were never torn down, from the Tatarian era, and including, that so-called Hearst mansion down there, and oh, have you been up to see Queen Khalifa's murals at what is that hotel at the top of let's see, Powell Street? No, Powell Street. Yeah, the cable car that goes to the top of the hill. Is that called the Mark Hopkins Hotel?
I don't remember the exact name.
But Queen
but
Khalifa, they got her all
it's
murals of
everywhere.
her all
It's everywhere. Everywhere. Even at Hearst Castle, there's a statue
so
of
they
Sekhmet.
acknowledging say what?
Even at
What
Hearst
about
Castle,
Sekhmet?
At Hearst Castle, there is a statue of Sekhmet and Aset. There's proof of our energy everywhere.
Now, with that being
That's what they go for themselves, but it's ours, our
It's
own
ours.
stuff.
with that being said,
If we keep on fighting each other and cussing and fussing and acting a fool and fighting over material things, we ain't gonna inherit nothing. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
believe me, we're gonna have to leave them folks behind.
Say, yes, ma'am.
Okay? So
Real
look
quick,
forward to sharing the cosmic prophecies on a wider scale. And so if you can find it on YouTube, it's Cosmic Prophecies, Who's Your Daddy? And it's, by Amanisi. Okay. All right. So if you find that, then you will get a little bit, just a tiny bit of the cosmic prophecies, along with the bringing in the DNA of Albert Perry. Okay? That's who
Yes.
your daddy is. That's
All right.
why I come so oldest on earth. Don't take that. I like snakes, but I don't like them around me.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
I
Well,
know
this
that wisdom.
look,
I
and
know
then
that.
stuff about the Queen Khalifa energy to the young Khalifas. She already put in her work to the young Khalifas. Start tapping into your Pokemon. Start tapping into nature. Start getting your animal game up. You know what I'm saying? Start getting your oil game up. This is spiritual, but it's also business. All of this belongs to us. This is our new way of life. Go ahead and get your Pokemon game up.
Every inch of it.
This is
And
my
we have
big mama. This Onaga. This is my big mama.
Yeah, I admire people who can handle snakes. I really admire that. I had a friend, she was a zoologist. She handled snakes, and that was fine. But I don't want to handle them. I got them outside. I got cats to keep them away from the house.
What kind of snakes you got? What kind of snakes you got, Mama Callie?
Honey, a harmless garter snakes. That's all. But I don't want them in here either.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your time and your wisdom, guys. And send me the video so next time you come on, I'll do those slides. If you want us to watch that, we'll start pulling some from those slides because you gave us a whole lot to go do some research on tonight.
Okay. All right. I'm glad. I'm always happy to give people something to go and look for because, honey, don't tell me nothing. Now I want to know, I will go look for it, and I'll know. That's a Sagittarius moon. All right then. Night. Are we finished?
We're about to finish it right now. Thank you for your time, guys. Peace and Tara. Goddess Moon, thank you for your time as well, Goddess. Peace. And until next time, thank you for this Matriarch Monday. Peace.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. And thanks for listening.
Peace and wholeness, everyone, to the space. Much gratitude to you, Mama Kali, for your wisdom. Oh my goodness, this has been a glorious, I like how somebody said vainglorious session that you brought in your wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and all the beauty of who we are into the space. Much gratitude to you, Mama Kali, and definitely to you as well, Sister Queen Khalifa Atari, for coming in and shining your light all the way over there in Cali, bringing forth this 411 that was so needed today. Everybody, y'all go ahead and shout out Mama Kali today. Give her your support. The ticker is going across the board just in case you haven't noticed throughout the session. You can send her any kind of contributions that you like to her Cash App, which is $ MamaMittie, MITTIE, MAMAMITTIE. You can definitely send her email, communicate with her, get some more of the good that she gave us tonight, or just go to her website at herbaful.com. Okay, so everything is going across the ticker at the bottom. Y'all make sure that you put out that love to our very own Mama Kali that comes in here so diligently, so earnestly, so honestly, down to earth, truthful, filled, so she can keep on keeping on. All right. Thank you so much, Mama Kali. Thank you so much also to you, Brother Orisha Nabi. Orisha. Oh, thank you. Go ahead. You have some last words for me, Mama Kali? Okay, I see her camera went off. She's great. She's good. We're gonna go ahead and get these announcements going. Everybody just stay tuned, and at the end, just enjoy all the good. Get out there and get to work. Get to know. Be the word, be the truth in that which we originally, or our origin mind spaces and spaces, have created us to be. Peace and wholeness. Welcome to the Orisha Stone, also known as Sky Serpent Announcements, where ancient wisdom, evolutionary knowledge, radiant minerals, sacred jewelry, Olmec artifacts, and ancestral treasures come to life. New pieces and spiritual collections made to honor the past and awaken the future. Tap into live streaming with Orisha Stone, where Matriarch Mondays, Chief Talk, Mineral Report, and Whole Mind Matters bring wisdom, culture, minerals, and whole mind elevation to the community. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Follow Orisha Stone on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Orisha Stone. Discover Orisha Stone, also known as Sky Serpent, featuring Olmec stones, Olmec artifacts, collections, and sacred jewelry pieces. Explore radiant minerals, alchemy, and ancestral treasures at melanatedimmortals.com under Olmec Antiques. In the same, continue to support Orisha Stone on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Orisha Stone. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, share, and contribute at CashApp $MansaMusaStone. As we close the 260 Galactic Kin cycle on 260, Yellow Cosmic Sun, The Synchronistic Human School of Enlightenment invites us to illuminate the lessons, release the old patterns, and enter meditation with clarity, completion, and divine renewal. Join Neb Taharka for the sacred closing of this solar activation into the new 260 Galactic Kin cycle. Melanated Immortals Making Evolutionary Changes is shifting the global consciousness of the melanin-dominant population. Join High Priestess Ma'at M. Makaru Amen and the Mimic family for live streams every Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern for the Melanin Frequency Vigils and more. Subscribe at melanatedimmortals.com and follow and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Melanated Immortals, at Womb Evolution, and at Melanin Frequency.
Sea sky.
Join us September the 18th through the 20th for the 8th annual Melanin Frequency Convergence in the Georgia Blue Ridge Mountains. Yes, come magnetize, unify, and transmit with the Melanated Immortals during the fall equinox through sacred gatherings, through restoration, connection, and purpose. This is more than an event. It is remembrance. It is renewal, and it is a collective elevation. Thank us so much for showing up for ourselves and the universe. Are you enjoying the visual expressions divined by Free Reality and MBR LLC? Every creation is uniquely inspired, spiritually guided, and designed to uplift, inspire, and transform us holistically. Thank you for supporting conscious creativity, sacred designs, and free reality movement. For my services, your feedback, and your support, connect with me at freereality@yahoo.com, or you can send a contribution for what you have seen and experienced through CashApp, $free reality. Thank us all for showing up for Orisha Stone. Continue to come through and support Orisha Stone to stand in the gap for each and every one of us out there, being the changes we want to see in ourselves and others. Life stones kindled and put through the fire. It's through shaking and breaking, and we gain the knowledge to build, to enlighten, and to evolve above the predictions and programs that no longer serve us. Peace to the universe, and please make sure you come back soon.